Someone is secretly plotting against you. My beloved child, stop scrolling for just a moment. There is something you need to hear before you make another decision, trust another promise, or reveal another piece of your life to someone who may not have earned that access yet. Don't panic, and don't assume that everyone around you is against you. This message is not here to make you afraid. It is here to make you aware. Sometimes the greatest danger isn't a stranger standing in the shadows. It is ignoring the small things your intuition has been trying to tell you while you are distracted by everything happening around you. Listen carefully, because something about your current season requires discernment. You may have noticed a change in someone's behavior recently. Perhaps someone who used to be warm suddenly became distant. Perhaps someone has been asking unusually personal questions about your plans, your relationships, your finances, your next move, or something you haven't even announced publicly yet. Maybe you've noticed that certain conversations leave you feeling uncomfortable even though you can't explain why. Don't immediately label anyone as an enemy, but don't ignore patterns either. Sometimes wisdom begins with simply paying attention. There is a difference between paranoia and discernment. Paranoia assumes danger without evidence. Discernment observes behavior, considers the facts, establishes boundaries, and refuses to ignore genuine warning signs. That's important because you don't need to live in fear to protect yourself. You don't need to suspect everyone. You don't need to become cold. You simply need to become more intentional about who receives your trust, your private information, your time, and your energy. And perhaps that is the message you needed today. Stop telling everyone everything. Not every plan needs an audience. Not every blessing needs an announcement. Not every dream needs to be explained before it has had time to grow. Sometimes you reveal something too early, and suddenly everyone has an opinion about it. Someone tells you why it won't work. Someone compares you to another person. Someone begins asking questions you aren't ready to answer. Someone takes your excitement and turns it into doubt. And before you know it, you're carrying everyone else's opinions on a journey that was supposed to belong to you. So move differently. Quietly. Intentionally. Let your results speak louder than your plans. If you're building something, build it. If you're healing, heal. If you're making a major decision, think carefully before announcing it. If you're entering a new relationship, allow trust to develop naturally. You don't owe everyone a front row seat to your life. And here's where the story becomes deeper. Sometimes the person who makes you uncomfortable isn't necessarily plotting against you. Sometimes their behavior simply reveals that they are not someone you should be giving unlimited access to. Maybe they're competitive. Maybe they're insecure. Maybe they don't understand your boundaries. Maybe they genuinely care but communicate poorly. You don't have to decide which explanation is true immediately. You can simply step back and observe. Because observation reveals what confrontation often hides. When you stop explaining yourself, you discover who respects your silence. When you stop constantly helping, you discover who only came to you for what you could provide. When you stop sharing every detail, you discover who genuinely wants the best for you and who only wants information. When you set a boundary, you discover who respects it. That is powerful. Your boundaries are not walls designed to keep everyone out. They are doors with locks. You decide who receives the key. And perhaps you have been handing out too many keys. Maybe you've been telling people your next move before you've made it. Maybe you've been discussing your relationship with people who don't understand it. Maybe you've been explaining your dreams to people who have already decided they are impossible. Maybe you've been seeking approval from people who secretly benefit from your self-doubt. Tonight, consider taking some of that power back. You don't have to announce every victory. You don't have to defend every decision. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to convince everyone that your life is moving in the right direction. Sometimes the strongest response is simply to keep going. Stay quiet. Stay focused. Stay grounded. And let time reveal everything. Because time has a way of exposing motives without you having to become a detective. A person can pretend for a day. They can pretend for a week. They can even pretend for months. But consistency eventually tells the truth. Watch how they behave when you succeed. Watch how they respond when you say no. Watch whether they celebrate your progress or immediately minimize it. Watch whether they respect your privacy. Watch whether they only appear when they need something. Watch whether their words match their behavior. You don't have to accuse them. You don't have to confront them. You simply have to notice. And that is where your power returns. Because once you notice a pattern, you can make a different choice. Maybe you stop telling that person certain things. Maybe you reduce how often you interact. Maybe you keep conversations surface level. Maybe you stop depending on them. Maybe you simply create healthy distance. Not revenge. Not drama. Distance. There is nothing cruel about protecting your peace. And if someone truly loves you, healthy boundaries will not destroy the relationship. They may actually strengthen it. A trustworthy person might say, "I understand." A manipulative person may say, "Why are you suddenly acting different?" That reaction tells you something. Not everything, but something. And you don't need to react emotionally. Stay calm. Stay observant. Stay grounded in facts. Because the moment you allow fear to control you, you become vulnerable to making decisions you may later regret. Don't let a suspicious feeling turn into a story without evidence. Instead, let it become a reminder to slow down. That's the real warning. Slow down before trusting. Slow down before sharing. Slow down before signing. Slow down before lending. Slow down before committing. Slow down before believing every promise. And especially slow down when someone is pressuring you to make a decision quickly. Pressure can make you ignore things you would normally notice. You don't have to rush. A healthy opportunity can survive a reasonable amount of thought. A trustworthy person can handle a question. A legitimate situation can withstand verification. And someone who becomes angry simply because you want clarity may be revealing something important about how they handle boundaries. So ask questions. Check facts. Protect your accounts and personal information. Keep important documents secure. Don't share passwords or verification codes. And if something involves money, contracts, or major commitments, verify the details independently before acting. This isn't fear. This is wisdom. Your life deserves protection. Your future deserves careful decisions. And your trust should be earned. Now here's the part you may not expect. Sometimes the person you need protection from isn't another person. Sometimes it's an old version of yourself. The version that ignored red flags because it wanted to believe the best. The version that kept giving chances because it was afraid of being alone. The version that confused kindness with unlimited access. The version that believed every promise because it desperately wanted the promise to be true. Maybe the greatest plot against your future is the habit of abandoning your own intuition just to keep someone else comfortable. Think about that. How many times have you known something wasn't right but talked yourself out of acknowledging it? How many times did you see the pattern and call it a coincidence? How many times did you feel uncomfortable and tell yourself you were overthinking? How many times did you accept an apology without seeing any change? You don't have to punish yourself for those moments. You were learning. But now you know more. And when you know more, you can choose differently. That is growth. Your past doesn't have to become your future. You can become more discerning without becoming bitter. You can become more private without becoming isolated. You can become more careful without becoming fearful. You can forgive someone without giving them the same access they had before. You can love people and still maintain boundaries. That balance is strength. And perhaps someone listening right now needs to hear this especially clearly. Don't let one difficult person convince you that everyone is dangerous. There are good people. There are honest people. There are people who genuinely want to see you win. There are people who will celebrate your success without competing with you. There are people who will respect your boundaries. There are people who will tell you the truth even when the truth isn't what you want to hear. Those people are worth keeping. The goal isn't to become suspicious of everyone. The goal is to become wise enough to recognize the difference. And sometimes that difference becomes obvious during your hardest moments. When you are struggling, who checks on you? When you succeed, who celebrates? When you make a mistake, who corrects you without humiliating you? When you say no, who respects it? When you are vulnerable, who protects your confidence? These questions reveal character. And character matters more than charm. Because someone can have the perfect smile and the wrong intentions. Someone can say all the right things and still behave differently when nobody is watching. Someone can call themselves your friend and still compete with you. Someone can say they love you and still repeatedly disrespect your boundaries. That's why actions matter. Always. And maybe that's what this season is teaching you. Stop being impressed by words. Watch consistency. Stop chasing explanations. Watch behavior. Stop trying to convince people to value you. Watch who naturally does. And stop giving unlimited chances to people who repeatedly show you the same pattern. You don't need to create a dramatic ending. You can simply stop participating. That's sometimes the most powerful move of all. Because when you stop feeding drama, drama loses its fuel. When you stop reacting to every provocation, people lose the ability to control your emotions. When you stop explaining every decision, people lose access to the parts of your life they were never entitled to. And suddenly, your world becomes quieter. Your mind becomes clearer. Your energy returns. You start focusing on what actually matters. Your goals. Your family. Your work. Your health. Your future. Your peace. And perhaps that's when you realize something extraordinary. The moment you stopped worrying about who was against you was the moment you became much harder to manipulate. You didn't need to expose anyone. You didn't need revenge. You didn't need to prove anything. You simply became unavailable for unnecessary chaos. That is maturity. So if someone has been behaving strangely, don't immediately assume the worst. Observe. If something feels genuinely unsafe, create distance and seek help from someone you trust. If someone is spreading rumors, don't respond to every rumor. If someone is trying to provoke you, don't give them the reaction they're looking for. If someone is pressuring you, slow down. If someone asks for private information they don't need, say no. And if you ever face a real threat, prioritize your safety and reach out to appropriate people who can help. Your peace matters. Your safety matters. Your future matters. But don't let fear become the author of your story. You are not here to spend your life looking over your shoulder. You are here to live. And living requires trust, but wise trust. So tonight, take a quiet inventory of your life. Who deserves more access? Who deserves less? Where do you need a boundary? Where do you need a conversation? Where do you need to stop explaining? Where do you need to trust your observations instead of your assumptions? And where do you need to forgive yourself for ignoring something you didn't yet know how to recognize? You don't have to solve everything tonight. Just become more aware. Because awareness creates choices. And choices create freedom. Maybe someone is not plotting against you at all. Maybe you're simply entering a season where you can no longer afford to be careless with your energy. Maybe you're growing. Maybe your priorities are changing. Maybe you are finally realizing that privacy is not secrecy. Privacy is protection. You can have a beautiful life without broadcasting every detail. You can love deeply without telling everyone the details of your relationship. You can pursue a dream without asking 10 people whether they think you can succeed. You can move quietly. And sometimes quiet movement is powerful movement. Let people wonder. Let them speculate. Let them misunderstand. You don't need to correct every assumption. Your life will eventually answer for you. And when your results appear, the people who genuinely care will celebrate. The people who doubted you may suddenly become curious. And the people who were never truly supportive may reveal themselves. You don't need to chase any of them. Keep going. Because your future is too valuable to spend constantly investigating your past. Your energy is too precious to spend proving yourself. Your peace is too important to sacrifice for someone else's approval. So remember this message the next time something feels strange. Don't panic. Pause. Observe. Verify. Protect your boundaries. Then choose your response from wisdom, not fear. That is how you protect yourself without losing yourself. And perhaps the greatest twist is that the person who truly has power over your future is not the person you fear. It's you. You decide what information leaves your mouth. You decide who gets access to your life. You decide which behavior you tolerate. You decide when to walk away. You decide whether someone gets another chance. You decide what kind of future you're building. And once you understand that, the shadows become smaller. Because you realize you don't need to know every hidden intention around you. You only need to know your own boundaries. You only need to stay awake. You only need to trust what can be verified. You only need to keep moving toward the life you want. So if this message found you during a season of uncertainty, take it as a reminder, not a prophecy of danger. Be wise. Be calm. Be observant. Protect what matters. And keep your heart open to the good people who are still out there. Because not everyone is against you. Some people are quietly rooting for you. Some people genuinely want to see you succeed. Some people will protect your name when you're not in the room. Some people will correct you because they care. Some people will stand beside you when things become difficult. Those are the people you should value. And when you find them, don't take them for granted. Because life isn't about discovering who is secretly against you. It's about recognizing who is genuinely for you. That is the real revelation. And perhaps the greatest victory isn't exposing someone else's hidden intentions. It's becoming so grounded in yourself that you no longer need to fear them. You know who you are. You know what you stand for. You know what you will tolerate. You know what you won't. And you know where you're going. So let the noise stay behind you. Let the rumors stay behind you. Let unnecessary drama stay behind you. You have a future to build. A life to live. A peace to protect. And a version of yourself waiting on the other side of this season that is wiser, calmer, stronger, and much harder to manipulate. Don't let fear control your next move. Let wisdom guide it. Don't let suspicion close your heart. Let discernment protect it. Don't let someone else's behavior determine your character. Stay kind. Stay grounded. Stay aware. And most importantly, keep moving forward. Because sometimes the greatest protection isn't knowing exactly who is against you. It's knowing exactly who you are. And when you know who you are, you stop chasing every shadow. You stop reacting to every whisper. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You simply stand. You breathe. You observe. And you continue walking toward the life you were meant to build. Let them talk if they choose. Let them speculate if they must. Your responsibility is not to control every person around you. Your responsibility is to protect your peace, guard your choices, and keep becoming stronger. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the moment you stopped fearing hidden enemies was the moment you discovered your greatest strength. You were never powerless. You were simply learning how powerful your boundaries could be. So stay calm. Stay wise. Stay private when necessary. Stay open to genuine love. And keep walking. Your future does not belong to the people who doubt you. It belongs to the person you are becoming. My beloved child, this is where you need to stop looking behind you and start looking ahead. Maybe you came into this message expecting me to tell you the name of the person who is against you, but the deeper truth is that you don't need a name to protect your peace. You don't need to accuse anyone. You don't need to confront someone based on a feeling alone. What you need is clarity, wisdom, boundaries, and the courage to trust what people consistently show you. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. Not every strange behavior is betrayal, not every distance is hatred, and not every disagreement is an attack. Sometimes people are fighting battles you know nothing about. Sometimes they are insecure. Sometimes they are simply growing in a different direction. And sometimes, yes, someone may not have your best interests at heart. But you don't have to live in fear trying to determine which one it is. Let time reveal what you cannot see today. You have already survived moments when you thought your world was falling apart. You survived people leaving. You survived disappointment. You survived being misunderstood. You survived situations you once believed would break you permanently. And look at you now. You are still here. That means you are stronger than the chapter that tried to convince you otherwise. So don't allow suspicion to steal the peace you fought so hard to regain. If someone is dishonest, let their actions eventually expose it. If someone is pretending, let consistency reveal the truth. If someone is manipulating you, let your boundaries make the manipulation impossible. If someone is genuinely good for you, let them prove it through time. You don't have to chase answers. You don't have to investigate every whisper. You don't have to become someone you don't recognize just because you're afraid of being hurt again. Stay yourself. Stay calm. Stay observant. And keep your heart protected without turning it into a prison. Because there is something beautiful waiting on the other side of this season. Peace. Not the temporary peace that comes when everyone agrees with you. The deeper peace that comes when you no longer need everyone to understand you. You stop explaining every decision. You stop defending every dream. You stop proving your worth. You stop responding to every rumor. You stop allowing other people's opinions to determine how you see yourself. And suddenly, you become free. Maybe someone underestimated you. Let them. Maybe someone thought you would never recover. Let them think it. Maybe someone expected you to remain stuck in the version of yourself they knew. They are about to discover that you changed. Not through revenge. Through growth. Not through anger. Through discipline. Not through destroying anyone. Through building yourself. That's the kind of victory nobody can take away from you. And if someone genuinely tried to interfere with your peace, don't give them the satisfaction of becoming bitter. Don't allow their behavior to turn you into the kind of person you never wanted to become. You can protect yourself without becoming cruel. You can walk away without hatred. You can close a door without slamming it. Sometimes the most powerful response is silence followed by progress. You don't need to announce that you're moving on. Move. You don't need to tell everyone that you're changing. Change. You don't need to prove that you're becoming stronger. Become stronger. And one day, the people who expected you to remain exactly where they left you will look around and realize you're no longer there. You're somewhere else. Somewhere healthier. Somewhere wiser. Somewhere peaceful. Somewhere they cannot reach with the same old behavior. That is the transformation. And perhaps this entire message was never really about someone plotting against you. Perhaps it was about you learning to stop plotting against yourself. Every time you ignore your boundaries, you betray yourself. Every time you silence your intuition just to keep someone happy, you betray yourself. Every time you accept disrespect because you're afraid of losing someone, you betray yourself. Every time you abandon your dreams because someone doesn't believe in you, you betray yourself. But you can stop today. You can choose yourself without becoming selfish. You can protect your future without hating your past. You can forgive people without giving them access to hurt you again. You can love people from a distance. You can wish someone well without inviting them back into your life. That is maturity. And maybe that's what this chapter is preparing you for. A future where your peace is no longer negotiable. A future where your relationships are built on mutual respect. A future where you no longer chase people who make you question your worth. A future where you recognize manipulation before it becomes control. A future where you recognize genuine love because it feels different. It doesn't require you to constantly prove yourself. It doesn't keep you guessing. It doesn't punish you for having boundaries. It doesn't make you afraid to speak. Healthy people don't need you to disappear in order for them to feel powerful. Healthy people want you to grow. They celebrate your victories. They respect your independence. They can disagree with you without destroying the relationship. They can hear no without turning it into a war. They can apologize without making excuses. They can admit when they're wrong. And those are the people you should keep close. So from this moment forward, become selective, not suspicious. There is a difference. Suspicion says, everyone is dangerous. Discernment says, I will pay attention. Fear says, trust nobody. Wisdom says, trust slowly and verify. Bitterness says, everyone will hurt me. Healing says, I will recognize what is healthy and walk away from what isn't. Choose healing. Choose wisdom. Choose peace. And if you ever feel genuinely threatened or unsafe, don't handle it alone. Reach out to someone you trust and take practical steps to protect yourself. You don't have to prove that you're strong by facing danger alone. Real strength includes knowing when to ask for help. But for the ordinary uncertainties of relationships, friendships, work, and life, don't let your imagination create enemies where there is only misunderstanding. Pause. Breathe. Look at the facts. Then decide. That's how you remain powerful without becoming fearful. And now, my beloved child, imagine the version of you who wakes up one morning and realizes something has changed. You don't feel the need to check who is talking about you. You don't wonder who secretly dislikes you. You don't obsess over someone's strange behavior. You don't need everyone's approval. You simply wake up and live. You work toward your goals. You take care of the people who genuinely love you. You protect your peace. You laugh again. You dream again. You trust yourself again. And that is the ending you deserve. Not revenge. Peace. Not exposure. Freedom. Not proving people wrong. Becoming everything they underestimated. So if there is someone who doesn't understand you, let them misunderstand. If there is someone who doesn't support your journey, let them walk their own path. If someone chooses to leave, let them leave. If someone chooses to stay, let them show you why. And if someone consistently disrespects your boundaries, have the courage to close the door. You don't need to slam it. You don't need to curse them. You don't need to explain yourself for hours. Just close it. Then turn around. And walk toward your future. Because your future is bigger than one person's opinion. Your future is bigger than one rumor. Your future is bigger than one betrayal. Your future is bigger than one difficult season. There is still so much ahead of you. There are goals you haven't reached. People you haven't met. Places you haven't seen. Memories you haven't created. And perhaps one day you'll realize that the greatest thing you protected wasn't your reputation. It was your peace. And once you protect your peace, you begin protecting everything else. Your focus. Your confidence. Your relationships. Your dreams. Your future. So don't spend another night trying to discover who is secretly against you. Spend tonight remembering who you are. You are someone who can learn. Someone who can grow. Someone who can recover. Someone who can start again. Someone who can say no. Someone who can walk away. Someone who can forgive. Someone who can love. Someone who can build a life that feels safe and meaningful. And no hidden intention from another person can take that away unless you give them the power to define you. Don't give them that power. Take it back. Take your peace back. Take your confidence back. Take your attention back. Take your future back. And move forward. Quietly. Wisely. Fearlessly. Let your life become the answer to every doubt. Let your consistency become the response to every rumor. Let your growth become the proof that you were never meant to remain where someone left you. And when you finally reach the place you've been working toward, don't turn around looking for the people who doubted you. Look forward. Because the people who truly belong in your future will be standing beside you. They won't need to compete with your light. They'll be happy to see you shine. And perhaps that is the greatest revelation of all. You don't need to know who is plotting against you. You only need to know who is genuinely walking with you. So keep your circle wise. Keep your boundaries strong. Keep your heart soft. Keep your mind clear. And keep your eyes on the road ahead. Because your story isn't ending here. This chapter is simply teaching you how to protect the next one. And when the next chapter begins, you will not enter it as the person who was afraid of being betrayed. You will enter as the person who learned how to trust wisely. You will not enter as someone desperate for approval. You will enter knowing your worth. You will not enter carrying everyone else's opinions. You will enter carrying your own purpose. And perhaps that's when everything begins to change. Not because someone else finally stopped plotting, but because you stopped allowing other people's behavior to control your direction. That is freedom. That is healing. That is strength. So take one final breath. Release the fear. Release the suspicion. Keep the lesson. Keep the wisdom. Keep the boundaries. And leave the rest behind. You don't need to chase shadows when you know where you're going. Let people reveal themselves through time. Let truth reveal itself through actions. Let your character speak louder than rumors. And let your future become so beautiful that the past no longer has the power to disturb you. My beloved child, walk forward. Not angry. Not afraid. Not looking over your shoulder. But awake. Wise. Grounded. And at peace. Because the greatest victory isn't discovering who was against you. The greatest victory is reaching a place where you no longer need to know. You survived the uncertainty. You learned the lesson. You protected your heart. And now it's time to protect your future. Don't look back for enemies. Look forward for opportunities. Don't search for revenge. Search for peace. Don't waste your life proving people wrong. Spend it becoming everything you were meant to become. And when you finally stand in the life you once prayed for, you will understand. Nothing was able to stop you. Not the doubt. Not the rumors. Not the rejection. Not the betrayal. Not the fear. Because through it all, you kept moving. And that is why this is not the ending. This is the moment you stop surviving other people's opinions and start living your own story. Walk forward. Your peace is yours. Your future is yours. Your life is yours. And no one gets to take it from you.